Well, so we have to look at the newspapers. Good morning to you, Mama V.
Good morning, Roland.
Have you been texting whether you have some messages from our viewers this morning?
Okay, what I do, yeah, we do have messages.
Okay.
I take a last selfie to see how my face is looking like.
But unfortunately, you're not a social media savvy person. I keep wondering, you take selfies all the time. Even the ones you put on your DP, they're not all the best ones that you take. So I keep wondering. I think you just have a bad choice about which one to display to the public.
Yeah.
To your public, the small contacts that you have there.
I know. I'm not fighting you on that.
Yeah, I know, right?
I hope everything is all right with you.
Yeah, we're good. Social media is where we have to be tactful. And so whatever we do, we'll stay on apparently for a number of years.
Yeah.
Because just this morning, I was just getting the updated news that apparently those whose information had been tapped by, is it Cambridge Analytica?
Oh, used without their knowledge.
From Facebook.
Without their knowledge,
had increased to about 87 million people.
Sure.
I said, wow, wow.
Could include some Ghanaians.
You never know. You never know. You never know. So the things that you post in your privacy, you think that it's just a social media app, or even on mainstream Facebook, etc. You just have to be careful. You know, it can haunt you someday. Somebody's clone database will just be infringed or hacked into, and then, well, you never know. You never
All right. Let's say good morning to everybody that's just tuned in. You missed a lot, but we've got a long way to go. We're going till 9, so lots of the conversations. And we're doing a sports roundup here on the AM show today. So
it's been fascinating.
It has.
Local and international.
Who would believe that Manchester City
was a miracle.
Will go down 3-0 yesterday in the Champions League. I mean, it tells you that the Champions League is different. It's not the EPL. It's nothing like
yesterday
the EPL.
When I was listening more of the commentary between Asempa and Joy FM, and I didn't know whether I should be happy or sad, because I think that in reality I summed up my mood and I thought that I was sad, because you look at the players that Man City had and the way they've played throughout the season and what they displayed yesterday. You know, sometimes it just takes a little tactic and tiny fly to just make you.
Champions League is experience.
Champions
League. Champions League.
But Guardiola has enough experience.
But not
he's won how many? 3?
Not necessarily the players, or not necessarily the team.
True.
You get it. Yeah.
Sometimes pedigree is important.
Yeah. True. And then Barca as well. So we will talk about Manchester United.
I think Barca,
Liverpool,
they are like wizards,
Barca, you know. Roma, kind of everybody expected them to go down the way they did. But we will talk about our own issue as well. The fact that we carried 50 or more than 50.
No, actually, I think we carried 65. I don't know whether now is this 50 rather.
That came back home.
And your name was in there. You're supposed to go to Gold Coast, Australia,
to
go and cover the Commonwealth
I would not
Games.
be surprised if my company's name is in there.
I'm sure.
The journalists from here were not necessarily given the accreditation, but other people in our name, because that's been the trend. What we are noticing has happened. But it's a shame, because I was here, was it on Tuesday, to say that we're using a hashtag that is catching on with people, even though it's long, from Gold Coast to the Gold Coast for gold. And here we are. You would see the headlines. Other people are reporting us the fact that we carried fake 50 journalists to Australia.
BBC, Al Jazeera is all there.
Yeah.
Well, we're just infamous sometimes.
That's why we brought this onto ourselves. So we'll dig into that issue as well.
Yeah, definitely.
And then we will talk about all the noise that we keep making, even about the Champions League and our own local league. We've got matches over the weekend. You can be sure it's just the sporting platforms that will talk about those games. They are not of interest to a lot of us. We don't even know which teams are playing. I still thought we had an injunction on our league.
Oh, you didn't know that the league had started and we've had 3 rounds.
Because we thought it was going to start and then there was an injunction and then, that's it. So we will talk about that. We will activate the phone line so you all can join us on this conversation. Good morning to our audience, our viewers in London. Please let me know how you're watching us, because I know that you're watching. Just send me a WhatsApp message or a regular text message. Let's know how you're watching. But let's do the newspapers. Roland, you start off.
Okay, so let me start with the Ghanaian Times. And it talks about Nagrat embarking on a strike action over salary arrears. And then investigate deportation of 50 journalists from Australia, the GJA. An armed robber jailed 15 years. Restore dignity of the judiciary. President urges appeal court judges. Well, let me talk about, deportation of 50 journalists from Australia and the GJA wading into the controversy and all that. That's on page 4 of the paper. And it says that the Ghana Journalists Association has called for an investigation to establish the true identity of 50 purported journalists deported from Australia. And a statement issued by the GJA president, Roland Afomoni, said this would also help redeem the image of the country and help Ghanaian journalists that may have been dented by the incident. Already we know the association distanced itself from the deported journalists, saying the GJA wishes to put on record that it does not know the identity of the so-called journalists, neither is it aware of their mission in Australia. And the whole news is this. Earlier this week, it was reported that about 50 people purporting to be Ghanaian journalists were being deported from Australia ahead of the 2018 Commonwealth Games scheduled to begin in that country yesterday. And this was because the Australian authorities were not convinced about their mission in the country, as many of them, though with genuine visas, did not have the recommended equipment for the coverage of such a sporting event. For example, you're a journalist. Where's your recorder? Where's your camera? Some even don't have Facebook accounts. Can you just imagine? How do you do that thing? On Facebook, you can even do live these days. Mama will go live tomorrow. Her Facebook account. Mama will survive.
We go live on JoyNews.
Oh, no.
What
Personal.
more do I?
They have been doing it. Benis Abubedu, Derek Okosan has been going live.
Yeah.
On Facebook.
Yeah, I know all of that. I will do the JoyNews live.
I know, right? So basically, that's it. We'll go to the back page, Ghana Beyond 8. And I know on the front graphic, you have the Nagrat story. Okay.
Yeah,
so
I do. I'm actually
details.
looking at it. It's on page 3. The Daily Graphic newspaper, Nagrat declares strike, says allowances remain unpaid, because there was a statement that was issued and indicating that those allowances had been paid, but I think it's not all members whose allowances have been paid. So the National Association of Graduate Teachers yesterday began an indefinite strike over what it terms unfulfilled assurances from the government over the payments of outstanding arrears owed members of the association. And according to Nagrat, the government currently owed its membership more than 50 million Ghana cedis in salary arrears, vehicle maintenance allowances, transfer grants, transport and travel allowances, which it had failed to pay since 2013, in spite of several assurances given to the association. So details of that announcement, there's a background at a press briefing on December 15, 2017, during which it threatened a strike in January 2018. Nagrat had indicated that in spite of 11 months of negotiations between the various teacher unions and the government on the need to settle all its indebtedness to teachers, the government had failed to honor its promise after including it in the 2017 budgets. The threats would take you also back to 2016, and then it brings you back to February 2018, where Nagrat gave the government up to the end of March 2018 to pay the salary arrears and allowances owed its members. And then, of course, that did not happen. That's why we see this action taken by Nagrat. We'll see how that goes. Okay, so, but the point is, would the impact be felt? Because some schools are still on vacation.
Yes, it looks like
some
even
students
though
are writing the exams.
yes, and it looks like even though the leadership has said they want to do this, it's not the rank and file that are in tune. They've not, all of them have not bought into this.
Oh, but the association, the mother speaks for
Says,
everybody.
yes,
So.
but that's why yesterday, if you listen to insets, Mr. Angel Kabunu appealed to the rank and file to conform to their official
Maybe they
position.
haven't heard.
Well,
because a few of them would go for meetings, executive, those who form the executive.
it's just some vibes I'm getting, especially comments from social media. They are saying it's political, this one is, But I know Angel Kabunu and the Nagra, they've always had a strong position on issues.
Yeah.
So. Anyway.
Well. All right, on the front page of the Daily Graphic, still 9,000 community policing assistants deployed countrywide. That story is on page 16. DVLA passport office yet to implement tax identification. And then Otumfo Lord's government entrepreneurial culture. But let's go to page 16. Two of the stories on the front page, definitely of interest. On page 16, it says 9,000 community policing assistants have been deployed to assist the police in their fight against crime in various communities. The personnel who were recruited by the Ghana Police Service in collaboration with the YEA were drawn from the various electoral areas and taken through 6 weeks training at the national and regional police training schools. So in an interview, Director General of the Patrols Units and Community Policing of the Ghana Police Service, Commissioner of Police Yagi Akuriba said the move formed part of the police transformational agenda, which, among other things, had devolved community policing to the electoral areas. Now, I just hope that those young people who have been recruited, if you like, would comport themselves. They are not police officers, so they should not pretend to be one. They are supporting, and they should act like that. Sometimes some of them can make you really, really angry, as if they are police, behaving like, I hope they know where their level ends.
They should know where their level ends. I mean, definitely.
Charlie, sometimes some of them, hey. There's this other story about the tin. Tin is the new tin, is the new ish.
And you know, yesterday we're talking about it, and you criticized, well, or observed the way that the GRA was going about it, instead of rather taking the whole process of getting the identification number to the people. They wanted the people rather to go. It's like the service provider and the customer. And this perhaps maybe was also linked to a comment made by Imani Boss, who also said that there's no, it's not science. I mean, to get it, to generate a number for anybody could have been done at random. You know, the visa lottery things that they do, you just register when they want to get you have a voter ID. They are in your community. So why don't you perhaps position yourself around communities?
Even SNIT goes to identifiable groups.
Fantastic.
You know, to go and do the registration for them and stuff like that.
And I remember they've gone to markets and things to go and register people.
Even the GRA, you know, with GRA, when they were doing the advocacy and the education, we're all over. Yes. You know, they were going to places. So I wonder why this one, they said we should come to them. You should go to the nearest GRA office. Like I said, I mean, for some people, it would take like forever to make that one step to get to your office to get a tin. And they may never need a passport. They may never need a government contracts or anything like that. So if you're just sitting down and waiting for them to come, you probably sit forever.
And easily what came to mind was, you know, those canopies that we have for people who want to apply for American visa lottery, etc. We have a lot of them dotted. So it's the same thing that perhaps maybe they should have canopies around the community.
I mean, just I remember them in these yellow T-shirts. That's the Ghana Revenue Authority. They did this serious advocacy work not too long ago. Just have your bags. I mean, we should have easy equipment in generating the numbers, and carry yourselves to the market. Let everybody, you know, register. Even with mobile money, I remember MTN coming around, you know, sending some 3 people or so coming around, and people who even didn't want to register at the time, just wanted to register, only to realize later on that it was worth it. Exactly. Yes. So sometimes you must sacrifice just so you can get little groupings to register on something, and it will be in your own interest.
I agree.
It will work all out for you. Yeah.
I agree.
Like they say, I think we've said for a very long time, this is no like rocket science.
Yeah, it's no rocket science.
Yeah, but the GRA, they're very open, friendly people, so I'm sure that they're listening to all the other suggestions coming on board. But the fact that the Passport Office and the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority have not started the implementation of the new recruitment by the GRA for applicants for passports and driver's licenses to provide their tax identification numbers before having their document process is also in here. The fact that they haven't started, the fact that there was a deadline, which has now been extended, if you like, tells you how unprepared even our own state institutions who are supposed to be working hand in hand with the GRA. I mean, Charlie, nobody's prepared, not the individual, not the institutions. People will get contract today, government contract today, they won't have tin. Oh. Let's look at the back page of the paper real quick. But in the center spread, you find that GRA is to get tough on tax defaulters using this year for more education. All right. Back page of the paper, task force set up to stop open defecation. Second magistrate courts in Swedru run shifts. So the first one, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts and Culture, has set up a task force to patrol coastal areas to check open defecation along the beaches. Another issue that is not rocket science, except that our ministries, our institutions simply just wait for journalists to do reports. Can you imagine, there are other beaches that we haven't reported, but there's open defecation going on. I guess the ministry is waiting for journalists to do the story, and then they will set up a task force to go around. I mean, that's where we are now. So Jojo Kopner did a story about some tourist sites where people openly do the thing. Tourist sites, but the overseer, the regulator, the person who's supposed to be watching these facilities, they had not seen, they had not heard until the report. So now the story on the back page is simply saying, based on the outcome of the journalist report, now the ministry is taking an action and has set up a task force.
Okay, so
Not
the
surprising.
officials who work with those monuments, which agency do they work with? Ghana Tourism Authority?
Maybe it's space.
It's
so
greatly
it's
linked
far.
to the Ministry of Tourism.
Roland, I would not be surprised if people who work in these facilities have constant. I will not be surprised to hear that they've reported several times.
And nothing has been done
exactly.
about it.
I would not be surprised. It had to take a report to get this.
Yeah.
And then you find, officials, everybody. I think it's the inspection that they go and they carry people. That's the one that even really okay. So you see the back page, the officials, like they haven't heard, like they haven't seen, like they don't know anything is going on, and then they go around. I don't know. We just pretend to work sometimes, and it bores me. Let's talk about the second magistrate courts in Swedru. They are also running shifts. So the Swedru Circuit Courts, or the Swedru Circuits and Magistrate Courts, have resorted to a shift system in the adjudication of cases. The situation has come about because the entire roof of the story building housing the courts was ripped off by a rainstorm on March 4, 2018. So you'd see, if you can appreciate the picture there very well, that's the roof of the courtroom that's been ripped off. The building located at Bibianiha, a suburb of Aguna Swedru, houses the magistrate court on the ground floor and the circuit court on the first floor. The storm left roofing sheets over the offices of the court registrar, the cashier and the bailiff, as well as the records office, the judge's chamber, and the entire courtroom completely destroyed, leaving the circuit court inoperative. So at a meeting to fashion out immediate steps to address the challenge with courtrooms to ensure that the trial of cases was not unduly delayed, the stakeholders resorted to running the shift system. This is, again, not rocket science. This is a roof. It's been a month because they said this happened on the 4th of March and this is 5th of April. Roofo! But again, you see that they will quickly go and inspect as if they didn't know. Based on these reports, that is on the back page of the graphic, you say that I told you so. They'll go today, no, they'll get phone calls, blah, 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 and they'll go and do inspection. And then they'll finally fix it.
You know the story about what happens usually with NADMO and floods and disasters? They go and inspect the situation, go and have a team go and do an assessment before they go and give relief. You know about that? They go there with the ministers and all the big people with the Toyota and the other four-wheel drives.
Sometimes it's
especially when it happens up north.
Yeah.
And the relief items are in some warehouse in Accra.
Yeah.
And they go there, it will take them
Assess the
2 days.
situation.
And then another committee will take another day. So 3 days to assess the situation. And then they'll come out with a report before they'll go and give relief. At that time, the water would have been, the people would have been great difficulty.
Oh.
Yeah. And some of these big people who manage these institutions, they've gone to Harvard, Columbia University, Stuttgart. Oh, which one is your university? Central University, University of Gimpa, and MIT.
So, you know, the shift,
Japan,
Roland.
China.
The second
And they are
court
managing our big
adjudicates
institutions.
cases on Mondays and Tuesdays in the courtroom of the magistrate court.
We have a problem.
While the second court judge sits in chamber to settle cases between Wednesday and Friday. The magistrate court takes its turn to use the courtroom from Wednesday to Friday, while its family tribunal cases are heard in camera on Tuesdays.
Mama,
And this observation...
Have you gone for a
this
shift system in school before?
Yes, I have.
Ah, okay.
I have.
Done
someone for JSS. I have, yes. It was a shift system. But it was one that, you know, when they were scrapping it, I had my reservations because that was also very helpful to us. Yes.
I think it's wrong. Because in the community I lived in, I lived in, especially the colleagues who were not good enough, didn't want to go to school. So if they were for afternoon, they found it very lazy to go to school.
Okay.
So when they were asked, while they're supposed to go for afternoon, they asked them, why are you home? Then he said, I'm for afternoon. When you ask him in the afternoon, why are you home? He says that I went in the morning.
Okay.
So, I don't know. Maybe
that's the other side.
Yes.
But the other side, which is my side, where I say was very helpful because you help your mother out to sell if you're on any of the shifts. So if you're for morning, you go to school. When you close, you come back and you support. If you're for afternoon, you go and sell in the morning and then you support. So, I mean, it's just your
it's
own...
got its advantages.
Exactly. So I had my reservations. A lot of people, just like you just said, oh, I mean, it's not right, it's wrong.
Yeah.
But there are genuine people who also need everybody to bring their support on board to run a successful family. And mine at the time, because it was my mother who was taking care of us, and she needed the support. And I would go and sell tomatoes in the morning.
We have to profile you. What were you selling?
Tomatoes then.
Ntos.
Yeah. And I would lobby for her to buy the big ones because, and I would take it from house, like door to door. So I was doing strategic marketing.
Wow.
Yeah.
How were you calling or shouting out for
No,
customers?
I wasn't calling. That's why I said I go from door to door. I think I was very...
Ntos. Can just imagine you, the little girl, petite like.
I was ringing bells in Dansoman. No,
Miansa 50.
No, I wasn't saying that. You know, Charlie, everything you do, you must go with a strap. So I was going to neighborhoods where estates. I was going to estates.
Okay. That's the Dadabi area. So you're selling the Dadabi area.
And I was ringing bells. You know, and you have somebody come out and say, oh, I want to buy all. You know, that kind of stuff.
Mama V with the well on her. And toss. Miansa 50. Toss. Pure whiter. Mama V, we have to profile you. MyJoyNews.com, please.
You finished me.
Just in case you don't know, we're profiling her next week.
Oh my God.
Selling within Dansoman Estates.
That
be selling.
Let's go.
You know, I grew up in Ashama, so I have some of my good friends. Erikwam, good morning to you. Erikwam, you know, those who went to Saito, I know easy.
You went to Rihanna Nova.
No, Ashama number 4.
So JSS. You're part of the other group that made excuses not to go to school.
I suffer off. You know, my father had corn meal, so I was riding corn meal. Corn meal, and I'll be stealing the coins, go and eat some.
I knew it. I was just going.
You're stealing, eh?
No, I wasn't.
That's you don't want to reveal. You mean I learnt my trade very early in life?
Yeah.
That's not fair.
That's why we don't want to get you into public office.
Oh, but that's not fair. I'm a very decent person.
Please, let's do it. Yeah, you are absolutely decent.
Ntosu. Miansa 50. Mama, you also about this life.
Oh my God.
How many years ago? 18 years ago in Dansoman Estate. Selling in Ntosu. Apart from Ntosu, what were you selling?
Oh, I've sold a lot of things.
Like what?
Sold water. Iced water.
Which one? The one that was wrapped or the one they fetch? The one with the aluminium.
Before we're fetching.
Yeah, it used to be aluminium. No, but
what's aluminium?
Or not, just normal plastic cup.
Yeah, no, not cup. There used to be this. I'm sure that rubber.
The rubber that's tied.
The one that if you go and buy, yeah, that's tied. Exactly. Yes.
No, and the ice block look.
So you just take the.
That means you are younger, because when I was younger, it was the cups. They used cups, the aluminium ones, and then the
really?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
They had aluminium cups. Yeah, aluminium cups or the plastic cups, but it was the aluminium cups because they freeze no, and they put the big, they use the paint rubber containers to do the ice blocks. So when after the then you see the thing normal day, it's a benkuta, it's a diseases now we drink.
But
now when you hear they say my OPD cases.
No, I think maybe people were being careful at the time. Now people
nobody was careful.
don't care. But that I was doing, that was my own private business.
Well, that's good. Yeah, that's why you're sharp. That's why you don't release money very often. But thanks for my birthday cake. It was very good. That was the
Roland,
time.
let's continue with the papers, yeah?
In terms, talking about in toes, we have, I didn't rig elections. Mahama cries in Sierra Leone. It's on page 3 of the paper, talking about all that we know the results are already in. The new president has been sworn in already. Daily Guide is late, but don't worry. This happened.
Oh, no, this happened.
Former President John Dramani Mahama.
To be fair, this was late yesterday. Yeah. So they had already.
President John Mahama, that's former President John Dramani Mahama, appears to have angered a section of the electorate in Sierra Leone, particularly the ruling APC supporters over a wild allegation that he interfered in their election, which ended last week. They're accusing him of
vehemently denied. He's not happy about
following that, we have the result in, and the results now as of 10 p.m. yesterday. Mada Bio, who has now been sworn in, I'm told, as a president, 51.81%, getting 1.319 million votes. And then we have Mr. Kamara incoming, also getting 48.19%, being 1.227 million votes. Well, we're told that some 31,694 votes were said to be invalid as the whole turnout for the election. So
we have some friends in Sierra Leone. They watch us, so please send us messages. Tell us what's happening in Sierra Leone day after that declaration was made. Let us know, because there were some protests before the declaration or alongside the declaration, something of the sort. Let us know how things are going in Sierra Leone the morning after.
Okay, so other stories we have on the front page of the Daily Guide. Nagrat on strike. We've told you comprehensively about that. Nana swears in judges. But let's go to the center spread. There's a news one pull out. It says Papi Kojo flaunts smoking habits. It says it is unlawful for adults to smoke cigarettes in Ghana. Is it unlawful? And rapper Papi Kojo seems to want to show to everybody that he can't do without it. The Akwaba Krona has been displaying his cigarette smoking habit to his followers on social media, particularly on Instagram. The latest picture you see there is him smoking, and the worry is that he's followed by young people. We're lucky to have survived accidents. Sarkodie's manager, I think it takes God's grace for you to survive an accident. It's not luck. Thank God for it. That's what you should be doing. Manager of Sarkodie.
It depends on what you believe in.
Okay. So manager of luck. Believe in that.
Oh, you're not being fair. Have you read the entire thing?
Well, so this is what he says. It was a serious accident. The side of the car that was hit was really damaged. And then he says that we're traveling with 2 cars, and I'm still fit, and I'm still serious. I don't see the luck. The Daily Guide thing. I apologize. Okay. So we have other stories. Shannon Tatum and Jana Diwan, they have announced their split. I thought it was a gentleman on Step Up.
I think after 8 years they were married. They were together for 8 years or so.
But they've tried. 8 years is long enough in Hollywood. I thought they would split long time.
Stop that. There are people who've been together even in Hollywood.
Well, there's the Washington and the rest. They try. They don't put their relationships in the spotlight. So Let me just do the Daily Dispatch before you do the finder. Is it the finder? You have
The
to
new
do?
Crusading
Okay,
Guide.
so we have UK visa refusal rates shock up. Worldwide is 14%, but Ghana, they bounce 14%, 40% of our applicants. I think we want to go to the UK more. It's logical. More on deported fake journalists. Some paid connection fees of 10,000 Ghana cedis.
Hey.
It's on page.
I hear there's some entry
Page
officer
11.
at the ministry or wherever, the GOC, who is hot.
Some paid 12,000. Some paid 8,000. Yo, we're here.
All right, we have some of your messages. We've got Gregory Mensah, who says, I'm watching the AM show in New Jersey. You guys are doing a very good job.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for keeping us
All those in Jersey.
up to date with happenings in Ghana. Gregory, what's the time there? We thank you for staying up early and watching the show. We really appreciate that. This one says, we've come this far of faking and whining as a country, and for that matter, the citizens, because of leadership failure. We have good men and women been led by misguided men and women. Thus, those who have ideas do not have the power, and those without the ideas rather have the power. What shameful times we find ourselves. Suhini Yalana in Tamale, I had to cut your message short so I can read other messages as well, but let's do the new Crusading Guide, and then we'll do the business finder, the last newspaper, and then we'll touch base online. The new Crusading Guide, be fair to all. President charges new appeal court judges. NYA condemns Nagrats for silence in Ejusuman SHS 6 scandal. Yesterday, I think I listened to Ejo Kabonu. There was a question on the Ejusuman, and he didn't want to comment. Mahama prays for Sierra Leone, denies election rigging allegations. Hajj Watch commends Sheikh IC for reshuffling Hajj board. These are the stories on the front page of the New Crusading Guide newspaper. There's also domestic resource mobilization key to Ghana beyond aid, attributed to the Vice President. The business finder, Otumfo laments unbridled imports, canvasses support for government entrepreneurship policies, and then fake insurance stickers, crippling industry, according to Seth Aklasi. Seth Aklasi is CEO, Dunwell Insurance Company. Oil production to hit 204,300 BPD by 2019. So those who use the fake insurance stickers, well, that's just to let the police know that your vehicle is insured. But in actual fact, it is not insured because your sticker is fake.
That is also because the police don't have the right facilities to be able to check the authenticity of those, whether they're authentic or not.
Yeah. They're able to check with the roadworthy certificate. And I thought there was an equipment like that.
Well, they have this, I think, laser-like kind of.
Yeah. Hey, so what? Human beings, they have to check everything before we do the right thing.
It's a black attitude. Wow, Africa, shithole.
It's not. I disagree with you. There are fake people everywhere. There are bad people everywhere. There are people who want to take advantage of systems everywhere.
Well, I agree.
think that
it's just that their systems work better.
We have to up our game. We'll go online briefly.
Because
we're going to look at. We will talk Brazil. I was going to say we'll talk
Brazilian hair.
No, we're not talking about Brazilian hair. We're talking about a man who ruled Brazil for 8 years, but who now likely, well, per the ruling yesterday, Thursday. No, it's Thursday today? Okay, well, let me just use Thursday because the times are different. Per the ruling, he's going to be in jail for 12 years. We're talking Lula da Silva. It will come up shortly, but let's read some of your messages. And then we'll talk Martin Luther King and the fact that Americans remembered him, celebrated him. It's been 15 years since he was shot at that balcony in his hotel room in Tennessee. And so it's the talk of a lot of people in the U.S. We will see the report on the BBC in a bit. This one says, highway officials of Asante Mampo in the Ashanti region should take note of the broken metal guards at the Hilly Road area, a few kilometers from the Mampong township. Any mistake can land a car in the valley. We shouldn't wait for an accident before something is done. This is a question that's been sent, no name, but drawing the officials' attention to some broken metal guards So it says at the hilly road area, a few kilometers from the Mampong township. If you're an officer, you're watching, you might want to send a message to whoever is supposed to be taking care of this. We don't want to record any accident. This one says Australia. So you're commenting on three things. We will talk about it in a bit. Benedict will join us pretty shortly. Manchester City are not in the same class as Liverpool, one of the best club side the world has ever seen. That? And fifth message, European champions.
I think Benedict
you come back to say Australia is one of the most difficult countries to enter. A visa doesn't guarantee you automatic entry to Australia because of their stringent immigration rules. The UK national insurance number is automatically generated. So you're commenting on all the issues. The point is, the clarification with our members going to Australia is that the invitation that they got to go and cover the games, that's like license to enter the country. So it's not necessarily the same rules that if you're going to Australia on your own, you go through the embassy. So these people didn't go through the embassy. Accreditation was all they needed to get into Australia. But it's the immigration people there who decided to do more of the checks, if you like they always do everywhere else, and then, you know, landed us in this. So, yeah. We decided to be popular in this way. Not with medals.
Mrs. Abuaji will buy you some today.
Is that what he sends? Is that what he sends?
Yeah. And he says, can you imagine BBC is carrying it? Is it about the...
No, BBC is carrying it. We'll see that in a bit.
Yeah.
Gomez, please, let's keep this one. Let's go to the BBC, please. Let's do the BBC. Okay. So this is Brazil's Lula, who must start prison term.
You know, he's been in Ghana.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, not to cover his...
okay. Yeah. Well, so former president could be jailed within days after Supreme Court judges... okay, wait, let me read this. Former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva will be in prison while he appeals his corruption conviction, the country's Supreme Court has ruled. He's facing 12 years in jail on charges of accepting a bribe, but had asked to remain free during his appeal. Lula claims the charges are politically motivated and designed to prevent him from running in October's presidential election. And in this particular election, they say he is a front runner in there. And there's nobody in his party who is on the same level. So really, sending
actually,
him
I think publicly he's admired.
Well, he's admired, but we also had some 20,000 people, if I got the figure right, also
protesting,
demonstrating and saying he should be put in jail. So what happened whilst this procedure was going on was that we had people for him
and against him,
and people against him.
It was a dual demonstration.
Exactly. Yes. But people will tell you, analysts will tell you that during his tenure as president of Brazil, they saw a boom, really, growth in the economy, and that also led to some lavish spending, if you like. He's been mentioned in some corruption allegations, and really that's what's eating Brazil up, just like it's eating Ghana up as well. So we'll see how that goes with his second appeal. But here's what a lot of people have been talking about. Martin Luther King, whose birthday is marked by a federal holiday, is hailed as a U.S. hero, and he's been remembered in the U.S. But this is something that we found on the BBC we thought we would share, the moment Americans learned of his death.
I would like to take this opportunity to ask Reverend John Genzel, who is the jazz minister, to lead all of us in prayer for Martin Luther King and the future of all civil rights movements. Would you please rise?
Some very sad news for all of you, and I think sad news for all of our fellow citizens and people who love peace all over the world. And that is that Martin Luther King was shot and was killed tonight in Memphis.
America is shocked and saddened by the brutal slaying tonight of Dr. Martin Luther King. I ask every citizen to reject the blind violence that has struck Dr. King, who lived by nonviolence. I pray that his family can find comfort in the memory of all he tried to do for the land he loved so well.
So we've got something else to share, because we know what Martin Luther King stood for, and the question that a lot of people have been asking is what has changed since his passing some 50 years ago. So here's another one that tells you what has changed, what's changed in America, most segregated city.
In 1967, thousands marched for fairness in Milwaukee.
Ain't gonna let me buy ya. Turn us around.
And these people were some of the protesters.
The white people with their children and everybody else had bricks and bottles, name calling. There was all kinds of things that happened by the time you got to the end of that bridge.
Old newsreels helped jog memories of their sacrifice.
That's our mother.
That's your mother there.
Yeah, that's my mother.
But how much do they think things have changed in America?
Milwaukee has become more tolerant in where they place the blacks, but they're still doing the same thing. They're segregating us, putting us into different areas, though.
I don't care how much money you got, what you got, they're looking at this.
But some are fighting back. A non-profit organization, the Milwaukee Fair Housing Council, has undercover researchers who investigate landlords over racism. I met two of the researchers, one black, one white, who went to the same landlord looking for a flat.
They were very, very accommodating to me.
They were keen.
Oh yeah.
I was told there's nothing available and come back later. I subsequently went back about a week later and was told nothing was available.
That was it?
That was it.
It's really disheartening to me because it's a symptom for me of something that's really sick in this society.
No matter what I've accomplished, no matter what my station in life, I'm reminded that I'm a black person living in America.
Academic Mark Levine has written extensively about the racial divide here.
Milwaukee, in terms of the level of segregation in the town, is precisely the same as it was 50 years ago. A black household making $100,000 a year has about a 20 times greater possibility of living in a concentrated poverty neighborhood than a white family.
And it's not just in housing that America remains a land divided, half a century after Dr. King had a dream. 50 years ago, the unemployment rate was 6.7%. In 2017, 7.5%, still roughly twice the rate of whites. And 50 years ago, just over 40% of black people owned homes, about the same rate as today. Yet 70% of whites are homeowners.
They've been taking everything we had, but now we showing them we ain't paying them no more.
Dr. King wanted these children to achieve their American dream, and he wanted this country to find its soul. While the evil of inequality pervades, he remains a voice of anguish for millions.
Land of milk and honey. Not so milky if you look at the statistics, but people will do anything to still go there. So, you know, as the U.S. remembers Martin Luther King, the African continent also absolutely remember him. His peaceful way of, you know, protesting is one that will certainly stay with us forever. And then maybe someday we'll play the I Have a Dream message. It's one also that's making rounds pretty much as he's remembered. But this is it, oh, this is where we are, Ghana, Roland.
Huh. No wonder. Australia deports fake Ghanaian journalists. Is dominating the headlines on the BBC, even though this one is supposed to be a congregated portal where they have up to the minute scrolling in and reporting and pasting of or posting of stories. The headline reads, Australia deports fake Ghanaian journalists.
Yeah.
Mama, you also why this name was used.
Ghana journalists, apparently, no, this is just a wrap, so you will not find the full story here. Ghana journalists apparently could not answer basic sports questions. So if you monitored their programming yesterday, I think they spoke to Michael Otieje for a bit more. It was Akwesi Sapon engaging Michael on, you know, more of either the procedure and what has happened and things like that. But to think that we're not even, when we went to Scotland, how many medals did we bring home, people? We're not chasing medals. We're saying we're going to the Gold Coast for gold. And here we are with 50, when the last time we bought 3
Apparently.
medals. We didn't even, 4. Did we bring a gold? Okay.
Apparently it was a facade. Oh, it is a facade. Am I permitted to say that?
We will talk about this matter proper. So send your messages on this. How does it make you feel, really, if you're a Ghanaian living in Australia and people are making the buzz is on about the
maybe that Ghanaian
days.
may have even entered there through some illegal
massa. Or even if you're a Ghanaian living anywhere else on the continent, how does this make you feel? Let's go back home. Let's check out what's making headlines on myjawline.com. We'll end it there, and then we'll take just a little breather to go and get ourselves some cocoa, and then we'll come back and we will do a roundup of sporting activities. So, Roland, myjawline.com.
Yeah, Bank of Ghana still struggling with illegal microfinance institutions. And this one, WiseLink Microfinance, shut down by the Bank of Ghana for operating with a fake license. Husband Daycare Center, how a restaurant attracts customers. We know this is a story from South Africa.
Okay.
If not. Orphanages call for an increase in feeding grants. 10 policy implementation is absurd, backward, a money president. As for Franklin Kujo.
Oh, he says it has.
I'm telling you,
so.
he's the enemy of every government since he came up with the money. Century deaths, health authorities reveal at least 15 more people received the daily injection.
The deadly injection.
The deadly, okay.
Yeah.
And then we have YX security tightened to protect sanctity of Wasi. Let's hope so. Breaking, opposition candidate declared winner in Sierra Leone's election.
He's a former military commander and rebel leader.
Was also a former ruler. And then we have police arrest 12 suspected internet fraudsters at Ouija. And I heard this bizarre story, and I had to call Maxwell Agbagba to get further explanation yesterday evening.
Because he chased the story.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyway.
All right, there's this other one, the family of aeronautic engineer who died mysteriously won justice. Coincidentally, I think I paid critical attention to the details yesterday, only to realize that, you know, Akroso is where my in-laws, some of my in-laws come from. Roots, so I'm familiar with Akroso, and I can't imagine that somebody, even, you know, Akimoda, it's just very close. And this is so related. This is so related. I can relate. It's close. It's home, really. So we'll see how this goes. The police, they've denied the fact that his body parts were missing. They said the body was intact, even though the body had been tampered with. And they are waiting on the autopsy police report to tell us. But there are certain things that the family, there are certain points that the family does not agree with the police accounts. The fact that, you know, there are things that are also not clear. Roland, you are the road safety person. So let's get into the law now. If you arrest somebody for drunk driving, the regulation does not say, even though we know police would normally use their discretion, but you're supposed to, it's an offense actually, so you're supposed to arrest the person.
Detain the person.
But in this case, what they did was to arrest the vehicle. And they said they found another car, a taxi, for him to join so he could go home. You know, and so it's kind of, there are so many questions, little questions that are coming out from the action that the police in Akrosu took with regards this gentleman. And the family is also disputing that he was, even though he drinks on the lights, he's not like a heavy drinker, like the police are making it sound. So we're all waiting for autopsy reports. In the meantime, the accounts that police is giving and the one that the family is giving just simply not on. And I haven't heard of any incident really in Ghana where when you are arrested or accosted or you're stopped for drink driving, your car or your vehicle will be arrested and you, the human being, would be made to go. It's a bit odd. Maybe you're listening and you're watching, you have an experience like that you want to share with us. But this is one of the stories that we're keeping a close eye on. We'll keep you updated as and when we have new information on this.
All right, so we have to take a break and let in Benedict also with the
We're
latest
talking sports, we're talking football, we're talking the Champions League, we're talking the Commonwealth Games. Indeed, we went to Gold Coast for gold with 50 fake journalists. That's where we are. Stay with us.